Hello everyone, welcome to Marlin Chess Quiz. Today I show the gameplay by Laura and Sarah, and this beautiful game complete in only 24 moves. And let's see how the game play. The game starts with the pawn to d4, knight f6, c4, and here you have the queen pawn game. And here the black reply with a e6. Then the white continue to develop knight f3. After this, d5, and this game has been transferred to the queen gambit. And in this game, the white do not capture the pawn, and this become the queen gambit decline. So the continuation with the knight to c3, and here the knight b to d7, then e3 was played, and now a6, and this is the first 5 move, and you can see that the white is better in this position, and the pieces is more active to be played. And the game continue with the queen to c2, then the pawn just capture, d takes c4, and now the bishop can just capture the pawn and keep on the pressure and attack. But in this game, a4 was played to prevent the pawn to push to b5, and this after this queen to d6 was played, and now the bishop just capture the pawn. Then the black go for short castling, and the white also move the pawn to e4 and preparing to move e5 and 4 the bishop and knight. So after this, e4 was played, and now the black must prevent the pawn moving forward. Therefore the black push e5 to prevent the block. And in this game, if you just capture the pawn, then you can just use either the bishop or knight to attack back. So for example, after this, and the knight can just capture, and this knight is very active in the center of the square. Therefore the black will have an edge if you put the knight in the center of the square. So after e5, the stronger for the white to play is to push the pawn forward, and this white will have an edge, and the white is pressure the black position, and this d5 pawn will make the white feel stronger in the position. But in the actual game, after e5 was played, the white continue to play a bishop to g5, and this will pinning the knight, and the knight cannot be moved, and if the knight move, the bishop will capture the queen. Therefore h6 was played, and here is the first 10 move, and you can see that now the position become equal for both sides. And the game continue with the pawn takes e5 was played, and in this position you move the pawn to d5, then you will be losing a bishop because the pawn is attacked the bishop at g5. Therefore after pawn capture, and now you use the knight to capture it back. Another suggestion, you also can use the pawn to capture the bishop. Then after this, the bishop, the pawn will just capture the bishop, and after c takes, then the knight will be able to capture the g5 pawn, and at this point the white will be winning a pawn ahead. Therefore the best move will be using the knight to capture the pawn first, and after this the knight just capture the pawn and hopping for bishop to f4 and attack back the knight. So if you use the bishop to capture, then the rook will continue to move to d1 and attack the queen. And now if the queen move to any place such as e8, then the bishop will just capture, and after bishop capture, then now the knight will go to the center square and keep on attack all the black pieces, and you have many activity for the white to play. So after this position, the best way is to use the pawn to capture the bishop first, and here now the white go for a long castling, and this rook will attack the bishop and pinning it, and the bishop cannot capture the knight. If you capture the knight, then the white will win the queen. So at this position, there's another suggestion that the black can play to remain the position to equal, and the best move at this position is to move knight to d7 and attack back the knight, and here the bishop is free to capture. And in this position, if you use the bishop to take the pawn, they will be using the rook to capture, and after knight capture, then the king will capture. And now after the exchange, the black will be slightly better with the exchange of the bishop knight for a rook. So the black will have more pieces to attack. And back to this position, and if the knight move to g4, then the knight can go to b6, and this will remain equal position. And after this, if you move the knight to g6, and the pawn cannot capture it because the bishop is attacking the king. Then if you move the rook to e8, then now you can play a queen to e2, and this idea is very beautiful. The queen is coming to the h5 and checkmate the king at h8, and now the pawn still cannot capture the knight because it's being pinned by the bishop. Therefore, if you make a correct move, will be the knight to f6, and this can prevent the queen to move to here, and also prevent the queen to move to h5 and continue the attack. And after this move, then the game will be equal with all the black is slightly better. And back to the position queen e2, if the black make a mistake such as the black play a move such as pawn to b5 attacking the bishop, and now you will have a mate in 3, and the idea will be the queen to h5 and preparing to checkmate, and again nothing much the king can do. And if the bishop just move to f4 and check the king, then the king can just move to b1, just avoid the check. And now any move such as if the pawn just capture the bishop, then the queen will just go to h8 and checkmate. So after a long castling, then the black play bishop to d7 to prevent the pin. And after this position, the knight to g6, and here strongly threatening with the pawn to e5 and fork the bishop and a knight. And this is a very strong move, and the white is really pushing forward to attack. And back to this version, here you must resist to capture the bishop, and this only through trade-off and action only. And here the white will have a less ability to play after knight capture. Then the king move to b1, then this rook to b8, then the game will be equal again. So this knight capture the d1 pawn, this must not be played, and the strong move will be knight g6. After this, rook e8 must play in the actual game. Then now the white storm with the h pawn to attack from the h side. So h4 was played and continue to storm and open up the h file for the rook to attack in the game. So h4 was played, and after this, g4 continued to play to prevent the attack and to prevent the action as well. And now the queen to b3, and here you have this diagonal double up and to attack the pawn, and the queen also can capture the b7 pawn. And after this, the knight just capture the pawn and thinking that it will win the pawn, but after bishop just capture and check the king, and now the white is clearly winning. And in this game, you do not go for the free pawn, because after you capture the pawn, then the knight will just capture the knight, and after pawn capture, then you will use the rook to attack the queen. And now the queen has to move to a7, and after move to a7, then the black will be winning at mate in 6, and I'll show you how the game can become the black win, such as the bishop to a3, and first you have the diagonal checkmate, and now the king only have one place to move, which is the king to c2. If you move to king to c2, then the bishop now continue to goes to f5 and check, and you can see now the king in the middle is being attacked. So bishop to f5 and check, and if you block with the bishop, then you have the rook to e2 and check the king, and the bishop cannot be taken because it's being pinned by the bishop. So after rook check, then after rook takes, then now this is an attack, this is attack, then you can just use the queen and attack. So you have a very strong attack check, and now the rook cannot capture is because it's pinned, and after the king cannot go down, the only way is to go to king d1, and you have a queen takes d2, and it will be a checkmate. So here, if you move the queen to capture the pawn, and the black will be winning the game. So if you goes to this position, now the queen cannot move to any place, and you'll be winning. And the best move will be move the queen to d5, and after queen to d5, the game will be the same, continue to check. After the check, then again the king can move to c2, and here the rook will continue to check again. Or you also can use the bishop to check first, So if you use the bishop to check, also can. And after the check, you cannot use the bishop to block. If you block with the bishop, then the queen will be winning. So the queen will take the queen again. And now after knight again will be losing, and the white will be in very big trouble. So if you move the knight to check, then the rook just capture it, and pawn to attack, then the queen will just capture because the bishop is being pinned. And now king to d2, then the queen will just capture and checkmate the king. So the b7 pawn will be a poison pawn and it shouldn't be taken. And in the actual game, after bishop capture the f7, the white is winning. So at this position, you must remember that bishop capture is a winning, and if your queen capture, it will be a lose for the white. So after bishop capture was played in the actual game, and here the king just moved to h7, and now the knight continue to attack the e4, and also preparing to attack, continue to attack the king to knight g5. So knight takes the knight, and after this then the knight can go to g5 and check. And again at this position you should not take the pawn again, and if you take the pawn, then the knight will just capture, and after pawn capture, then now the bishop will continue to attack, and after king to b1, then you have a rook to b8, and this will be winning the queen again. And back to this position, if you move a bishop takes the rook, then the queen will just continue to capture. And now if the knight goes to f8 and check the king, then the queen will just capture, and now the knight capture, then the rook will go to e8, and this will be white will be better. Another suggestion that if you play with the rook to d5, and this idea is to bring the rook to d5 and goes to h5 and check the king, and if the king moves to g8, then the rook will goes to h8, checkmate the king. So go to d5, and you make example move like b6, then this will be a checkmate. And in the actual game, after king h7, the knight just capture, and after this the rook just capture again, and now queen to d5, and this the queen preparing to go to h5 and check the king, and after this king h6 was played, and here the queen just capture the free rook, and also intending to meet with the knight to e7 and block the queen, then the queen can just goes to g6 and simple checkmate the king. So queen f6 was played, and now the queen to et, we have the diagonal check the king, and king to h8 was played, and now the queen come to g5, and here the queen to h5 will be winning. And in this version, if you use the queen to capture, then you have a mate in 2, which is the pawn capture will allow the open check, and after this the king only can move no place. You can see this. So the enemy is to block with the bishop, then the rook capture the bishop, and it will be a checkmate. So after queen g5 was played and the actual game, the queen captured the bishop, and after capture the bishop, then you have a mate in 2. I give you a couple of seconds to figure out the continuation of the white to play and mate in 2. Well, congratulations for those who found the answer, and for those who like to enjoy the show, here are the moves that the white play and mate in 2. After sacrifice the bishop, the queen goes to queen h5 and check the king. So queen h5 and check the king, and again nothing can block the check, and the enemy is to move the king to g8, and then you have a queen to h8 and checkmate the king. And here you have a very beautiful mate in the move 24. And with this, thank you.